cute DIY project and showing you that, but it's been raining pretty much for the last few days straight. So getting down to the wire, I need to film something, and I figured why not just cook. So I'm gonna give you a few recipes that I haven't quite shared yet. So I think I'll be making some brownies. I'll also be making some homemade fish sticks, some squash fritters, our favorite recipe, and some melting sweet potatoes, much like the melting potatoes. So we'll see if they turn out. You know, my oven's a little wonky, but if you use this recipe on a regular oven, you'll probably do it just right. So we'll see if it turns out pretty good in this little bitty oven. But I guess I'm gonna go ahead and make our brownies. It's a little bit before time to start dinner, but by the time our brownies are done, then it'll be time to cook dinner. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that. Today I'm gonna be making a half recipe, but I'm gonna show you the ingredients for the full recipe, which makes a 9x9 pan's worth. So you're just gonna need 2 cups of chocolate chips, 3/4 cup of cocoa powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 2/3 of a cup of melted butter, 1/2 cup of boiling water, 2 cups of sugar, 2 large eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 1/3 cup of flour. The first thing I'm doing is melting my butter. I don't have one of those fancy microwaves, so I'm just throwing mine in my tabletop oven. I'm also boiling some water in my electric kettle at the same time. My mixer, I'll put my cocoa powder along with my baking powder, and once my butter melts, I'll put in 1/2 of that and just give that a really good mix until it's well incorporated. After that's mixed up, I'll go ahead and put in my boiling water and just mix that up until it's nice and shiny and smooth. I'll just show you what that looks like. That's the toughest part of this recipe. Now we'll just add some basic ingredients like sugar, eggs, the rest of the melted butter, as well as some salt. Don't skimp on the salt. You need all the salt for a good dessert. You gotta have the salt in there. And also I'm gonna add some vanilla. Once that's good and mixed up, I'll go ahead and add my flour and then my chocolate chips, and I'll mix this until it's just incorporated. You can also fold it in, but I had my mixer out, so I just went ahead and gave it a few spins in the mixer. I'm gonna prep my pan with a little butter. I just run the butter along the sides and make it simple, just like that. Then I'll bake this at 350 for about 30 to 35 minutes. If you want them more on the fudgy side, you'll just wait till 30 minutes. If you want them to go a little bit longer, you can go 35, but you're just gonna wanna cook them until your knife or toothpick comes out clean. once my brownies were done, I just wanted to go ahead and start dinner. So I know that my sweet potatoes are gonna take the longest. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel those and get them all washed up. I'll be making melted sweet potatoes. These are like the melted potatoes, if you've seen those on Pinterest, but they were absolutely delicious. So if you like sweet potatoes at all, you need to try this recipe. So these I cut into 1-inch thick rounds. I did get my ruler out because I wanted to make sure they were at least 1 inch thick. So that might help a little bit if you're not sure, but it doesn't matter so much, but I wanted to make sure I had them thick enough. So I went ahead and got my ruler out and kind of measured one and then eyeballed everything else. This is probably the simplest recipe I'm gonna share tonight, but it was one of the best. I am a very big sweet potato fan. But you just pour your melted butter over it. I had a 1/4 cup or half a stick of melted butter. I probably had a little too much, but that's okay. And then I sprinkled some pink Himalayan sea salt over the top of those. You can use regular sea salt or whatever you have on hand, but I just had a little salt and they were super simple, but they tasted so delicious when they were done. I'm just gonna pop these in a 425-degree oven for 20 minutes, and then I'll flip them and cook them for another 20. So while I'm waiting for those to cook, I'm gonna go ahead and start prepping my squash fritters. I'm gonna start by going ahead and shredding my zucchini. I ended up with about 3 cups of zucchini squash here, and I got as much water as I could out of the zucchini. You can also get a colander and squeeze this, or you can even go as far as getting some cheesecloth and squeezing the water out of it. But I just did it with my hands in a bowl, and it was just that simple. You can use whatever cheese you have on hand. I've used Parmesan in the past. Today I had cheddar, so that's what I used. I used just a sharp cheddar. I used probably 3/4 cup, not quite a cup, but you can use how much ever that you like to use. This is really difficult for me because I don't measure much, but I used Old Bay seasoning. I sometimes use Tony Chachere's. Jay told me that it wasn't Cavender's that I use, because sometimes I say that. But I use about a teaspoon of each of Old Bay, salt, pepper, and then about a half teaspoon of garlic and onion powder in here. You can season these up to your taste, whatever you like to put in them. This recipe you can truly make your own and kind of make the seasonings to your taste, whatever you like. But I just put in 2 eggs and mixed those up, and then I started adding our breadcrumbs. I like to use panko because that makes like a really crispy, nice fritter. I ended up using about 3/4 of a cup. I just mixed it up until it would hold its shape. I'm sorry I don't have exact measurements. This is just how I learned to cook, was just kind of throw it in there and make it work. So it's really just a feeling. If it's holding its shape when you're holding it, then it's good. But I also clean as I go. So here I am loading up the dishwasher a little bit so I don't have so much to load up at the end of the night. My fritter mix aside and went ahead and start prepping for my fish, and I just put some panko breadcrumbs and seasoning these with Old Bay as well as salt and pepper. And for my wet ingredients, I'm gonna add an egg to the bowl and then put in some milk and just give that a good mix. I'm a very messy cook. In case you haven't been around long, I'm pretty messy, but I always clean it up. So now going back to my fritters, I felt like it was kind of important to show you what my process is, because sometimes people get stressed about when to put things on and when things are going to be ready. So I'm just showing you kind of how I cooked it. So while I was waiting to cut up my fish, I went ahead and started my fritters. I'm just frying these in a refined coconut oil. That's my preferred frying method, and kind of moving them around in the pan as they're getting started and getting browned on the bottom. And I've got some tilapia here that I've just washed and dried with a paper towel, and I'm just going to cut these into chunks. You can cut them into more of a fish stick shape if you prefer. I just like chunks because it's really easy for me. So I'm just going to put those in our egg and milk mixture. If you want to make these ahead, you can absolutely do that and store them in the refrigerator overnight if you want to. So if you want to meal prep, you can do that. Put these over into my panko mixture and put them on a sheet pan that I prepare with some parchment paper. I like to cook these on parchment paper instead of foil because they stick a lot less, and parchment paper is a little bit better for you. So I'm just kind of dipping those and put them on the parchment paper, and any extra breadcrumbs I'll just kind of throw on. I'm also flipping my squash in the meantime, so I haven't forgot about those squash fritters there. But about this time, my sweet potatoes were ready to flip, so I went ahead and flipped those and got those prepped. Got the oven prepped for 2 things in it. So I just kind of move my little shelf and make room for 2 items. Sometimes the stuff on the bottom burns a little bit, but I thought that it would just make the sweet potatoes caramelize a little bit better, and I was right because they were delicious. But I do layer my stuff on my tabletop oven, so you just kind of use what you have, and this is what I have, and it works out perfectly for us. While I was cooking, Floki was lounging on the couch, which is not normal for him, and Jay was doing a really good job playing with the kids. It's pretty low maintenance from this point on. I just had the squash fritters to flip, and as they got done, I just put them on a paper towel on top of the oven because that's where they kind of stay warm. But other than that, I just waited until my fish and my sweet potatoes got done and kind of continued cooking our squash fritters. The kids really like to eat their fish with ketchup, and so does Jay. Here is Jason's plate. I know it's not the prettiest plate because it doesn't have a lot of green on it, but I just really wanted to share these recipes with you. And Jay likes his with ketchup. I prefer my fish sticks with A1 sauce. Don't knock it till you try it because it is really delicious. So try this mixture and see what you think. Let me know. Either on Instagram, Facebook, comment here, let me know. But we ate ours while enjoying some cat videos in the living room. I know it's strange, but we don't take much to entertain, I guess. After dinner, it was time to clean up, so I just quickly cleaned the countertops and then did the dishes and the floors, and it was all lights out after that.
I still recall the first time I saw you. I was so nervous to talk. Happened so fast. Went from so lonely to falling asleep in your arms. I used to be afraid to fall in love. My past relationship was a disaster, but now I don't care.
We left a sweet treat out on the countertops, and we had some ants coming in, so that's what's crawling there on the wall. Sometimes that happens, but if you do, I don't mind it because I know they'll go away because they don't have anything to eat after this because we got rid of the sweet treat. But if you do have an ant problem, we used to mix borax along with some jelly and enough water just to make it slightly liquidy, and we put that in a bottle top all the way to the brim, and the ants would find it, and in a few days we wouldn't have ants anymore. So that's a great tip if you have an ant problem just kind of all the time. That will get rid of them quick and in a hurry. So if you need help with that, take that tip, try it out, and let me know when you did it.
The wrong things, but you're always there to guide me. I used to be afraid to fall in love. A past relationship was a disaster, but now I don't care. 'Cause you took my scars, bruises and broken heart, and numbed all the pain. Show me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore. To be afraid until I met you. I was insecure, caught up in the pain, but you showed me how to heal. Took my scars, bruises and broken heart, numbed all the pain. Show me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore.
I know these are kind of dark clips, but I put my kids to bed right after dinner. So as I'm cleaning, it's kind of peaceful because there's nobody awake, but I also have to have the lights out. But I want to thank you so much for watching tonight. If you have not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and the notification bell will let you know when I post a new video just like this one. I hope that you've got some motivation out of tonight's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Waiting for a moment to step in. Oh, and I'll never understand how you saw